that is why I will never attend a Coldplay concert.
Did you see the Coldplay? Did you
The
warm them up with your
Coldplay.
manly hands? Did you fondle the? Did you go there with your secretary, your secretary, and
They have not had a single in years, and then suddenly they come out with two. Space.
Well, I think that's the thing. What are we blaming the CEO for? Is it that he had an affair, or that he willingly went to a Coldplay concert? Like, I couldn't see anyone with a gun to his head or anything, so the choices were made that I don't agree with.
Okay, so the poll tonight.
Oh God.
What is worse?
It's begun.
Cheating.
Or Coldplay.
Cheating or Coldplay.
Okay.
Coldplay.
I have a feeling I know how this poll is gonna go. I have a seeing the Coldplay.
And there we go. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission, until we are not cancelled and replaced by something far superior because we are not owned by Paramount, to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, to seek out new guests that are strangely still vacant and make them very uncomfortable, to boldly go where many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers alike, and welcome to another live episode of Trekking Up North. I am, of course, your host, Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate. Joining me is the deliciously delectable Geesian from the planet Hawk. It's Science Officer Synoiz. Science Officer Synoiz, do you like the Coldplay?
No. No. I think I once described Coldplay as music for people who don't really like music, because I've never found anything that goes against that rule. Like, all the people who I know that are like, oh, I like listening to Coldplay. I'm like, do you listen to other bands? Do you have a preference with music?
I
Or do
would
you just
surmise
put on whatever's on the radio.
I would surmise that the Coldplay is the equivalent of soggy, wet, unsalted McDonald's fries.
Wow, that's a visceral image.
Would you agree, guys, in the chat? Would you agree? The unsalted, soggy, wet fries, lukewarm fries that you get at McDonald's that just scream failure and disappointment.
I don't know. I'd probably have them as, when they're not quite cooked properly, but they're really salty and hard, and you're a bit like going, I need a drink with these, but sadly there isn't anything, and you're struggling. You're in the back seat of someone's bloody Mazda, and you're just like, there are no drinks, there are no beverages. I've just got these salty, uncooked bloody chips in my mouth that are burning my mouth. Yeah, and then you just have to jump out the sunroof, really.
Speaking of salty and hard, breaking news from Destination Trek Blackpool: Anson Mount is the star guest of the convention this year. The 1 year that we cannot make it because they knew the restraining order would not stop me, so they had to get me a job to prevent me.
What I suspect has happened, because everyone was like going, oh, they're kind of holding off on the guests. They're not kind of, being very forward with who's appearing and stuff. I think they waited until we specifically said that we couldn't attend.
Yeah.
Until they went, okay, it's safe. It's safe. Okay, Anson, come out.
I heard it was a contractual stipulation with Mr. Mountney himself that said I would attend
a stipulation with Anson Mount.
I would attend a UK convention if Captain Goodwill is not there. And they were like, good news! He's turned it down. Good news! Bring your quaff to the northwest of England. You're more than welcome.
I just like it that I won a bet, because like everyone was kind of going, oh, who do you think it will be? And I think it's going to be Pike. I genuinely think it's going to be Pike. Everyone was like going, "Oh, what if it's Janeway? What if it's like Archer or whatnot?" That would be amazing, getting Scott Bakula.
Oh my
However,
God,
I
right?
was like, "No, I think it's going to be Pike," and I was the only one. So I'm
I
happy.
already knew the question I would have asked him
Yeah.
because my child is alive and looking well. Hello, mother. My question would have been, as it was in 2019, which spurred on. Single-handedly, I was responsible for Star Trek Strange New Worlds coming to life. I would have done the same at this convention. I would have gone, Mr. Mount Me. If you are offered the chance for a Due South reboot, would you have done it? And he would have said yes. And then 2 years later, we would have got Anson Mounty as Benton Fraser in Due South. Mark my words, people.
I love that this is an obsession. I love that
It's not an obsession.
To this.
It's speaking of Klingons. No, anyway, it's not an obsession. It's not an obsession. It is a fixation.
It's an unhealthy desire. But
speaking of unhealthy desire, welcome to everybody in the chat. It is wonderful to see you, another Space Nuts. We've got TNG Fanatic Chuck here. We've got Crimson. We've got the very sexy, built like a shed David Jones, who, as we all know...
built like a shed.
Built like a shed.
Is that a compliment?
He is built like a shed. He could store so many lawnmowers in his chest.
He doesn't have any sort of riveted steel sheets on him.
I've seen his abs. He is, of course, famous for being in Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 and Star Trek Section 31 and many, many, many other things that I can't talk about. But welcome all into the chat. Before we move into the review of Shuttle to Kenfori this week, I was approached by a very talented group of filmmakers who are making a little Star Trek fan production, and they have offered to grace us with their proof of concept because they are trying to get funding to film this magnificent story in its entirety. I have received an exclusive clip via a link on YouTube, which everyone else can watch. And I am going to play it for you now, and then I will tell you a little bit about the film. So I hope to God this works. So we're about to go silent.
If not, you have to describe it. You have to describe it.
I will describe it. I will describe it through the medium of interpretive Morris dancing. Okay? Hello, Chris. Welcome. We're about to see Prisoner 47, a Star Trek fan production. See you on the other side.
Commencing deposition with former Admiral Fraser Reynolds on Stardate 61258.2 with Lieutenant Commander Liam Wallace interview. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Mr. Reynolds. I'd like to begin with your escape attempt.
Okay. I wouldn't describe it like that.
Then how would you describe it?
Well, I activated the emergency distress signal before the shuttle crashed, so it looks like I wanted you to find me.
Okay. Why?
Obviously, to be rescued. And frankly, it is time for all this to be over.
But you were nowhere near the shuttle when we found you.
What could possibly be of interest in that place? There's life, but no civilization. It's empty. I can honestly tell you, there's nothing there.
Is that because you were playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers?
It's funny, most people think of enhanced individuals as masters of their own fate and destiny, a being Pierre-Simon Laplace would be proud of. But something so small, can grow into tiny dots and create material change, spoiling it for further use. However, in most instances, you are just trying to survive. Because when you leave paradise, it's not because you choose to. When they came for me, not even my rank would protect me. And I witnessed a fair few people die because of it. Some who supported me, some who did not. But it cost me. Every time. The plan was always to go home, though. Perhaps I've left it too long. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Maybe it's time to face failure the way one would face success.
And how's that?
With dignity.
Allow me.
Fancy, look at that.
Allow me to read a little bit of the spiel.
Oh, he can read. Oh, get this. You can tell you're not normally from Redcar, can't you?
Now I'm a transplant.
Words, numbers, who knows what you have.
Teeth. All good things must come to an end. But why? I know franchises change, but I still love old Trek from the 90s, especially the aesthetic set up in First Contact, and I wish we got more of it. This project is for Star Trek fans who want to see more stories that explore timeless ethical problems and how people feel about the situations that this puts them in, with a familiar look that uses modern technology, not AI, to enhance those amazing design choices from the 24th century. Prisoner 47 is a short film that looks at genetic modification, and although the people who have had this done to them are victims, what happens when they commit crimes of their own? Set in 2384, just after the shuttle crashes on an alien planet, a Vulcan ambassador is injured. The only man left to look after him is the prisoner he was transporting back to Federation space. Uncharacteristically, the prisoner seems to care for his jailer and is the only person standing between life and death for the ambassador. As the two converse, we find out that the prisoner is a former admiral in Starfleet Command and was hiding the fact that he was genetically enhanced to his entire career. However, this only became a problem when the former admiral broke the Prime Directive because there was no stigma attached to his success. The ambassador's condition deteriorates over the course of their conversation as they wait for a starship to get them there. Get there in time. It is, honestly, I watched this and I was like, we've all seen Star Trek fan films. We have all seen Star Trek this, my God, this could just be an episode of modern Trek. This could have slotted straight in to Picard season 3. It is so well done. It is so well directed, lit.
I mean,
everything's just
honestly,
beautiful.
It looks absolutely fantastic. It looks, you know, I mean, as we were watching it, I was suspecting that it might be filmed on a Motorola, like, you know, 10 from the Matrix, but apparently not. But it looks absolutely incredible. Like, and I like the aesthetic. It's very much a fan thing where they've kind of gone like, hey, let's not, you know, change like how the sets are meant to be and stuff. It looks really true to the Trek that we all know and love. And yeah, and the acting seemed to be really good. And I'm
and they're all British. They're all British. Approach
See, now
failure as you approach success with dignity.
But I will say that's where the cracks are starting to show here, because okay, so we've got British people in Star Trek, and then we also have he's an admiral who isn't evil, which seems unlikely unless that's the twist. And what happened to the other 46 prisoners? That's what I'll be watching for. That's what I'll be backing. I'll be like, that's a lot of room for prequels. I'll give it that.
Prisoner 47, a Star Trek fan production, can be supported by you, the viewers, by going down to the Indiegogo link in the description for this episode. Show them love, show them support, help them get to their goals so we can watch this fantastic tale and let it be told to the world. So thank you so much to Oliver for sharing me that video. I truly appreciate it. He sent it whilst we were on a brief hiatus, and I'm like, what a time to send this. But I got it there. I got it done. So, Oliver, we love you. Thank you so much for letting us do that. We are here, though.
It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. Go, get yourself on the Indiegogo. Get yourself on that Indiegogo.
Speaking of looking fantastic, Science Officer Synoiz is positively glowing tonight. Look at this. He's trimmed his 1939 moustache. He's polished his noggin. He looks resplendent.
I haven't even thought about invading Russia yet. That's the heyday my moustache is living in.
I thought you were about to say you haven't even thawed yet, like you were some type of chicken.
Thawed. That's what the glisten is. The glisten is the thawing.
That's what we do every week, guys. We take him out the fridge at 4, and we just as it gets to 8, he's just about ready.
Turkey. You just leave me to defrost on the kitchen counter.
Except we don't stuff you. Right, we
not enough. But
there was that one time in Germany. We are
but
here.
Enough about Berlin. We're here.
Springtime for Synoiz and Germany.
We're here to review episode 3 of season 3 of Strange New
Do we have to?
World.
Do we have to? Can we just talk about Prisoner 47 and your German escapades for the rest of the episode?
I think we would get cancelled if I talked about my German.
If we are going to go out, we are going to go out on fire backwards. Let's do it. Let's get on with it.
You've never ever been in a bar until you've been in a Berlin bar where the guy next to you lights a meth pipe like it's a cigarette, and you're just like, wow, okay, I guess that's what they do here.
Again,
that was
my interpretation. My interpretation of Synoiz's behaviour was, I genuinely thought he was going to go, you've never understood a German gay club until you've appreciated it in the original Klingon.
No, I believe it's basically you've never appreciated German gay club until you've had it in your mother tongue. You've felt it in your mother tongue. Or your mother's tongue. Your Muttersprach.
No, Muttersprach?
Yeah,
Muttersprach. Yeah, Muttersprach.
Yeah. But enough about my mother's mouth.
Oh, God.
Speaking of mother's mouth, no, that's a connection I can't make. So let's talk about this episode.
Speaking of... I have no segue for that. Let us talk about episode 3 of season 3 of Strange New Worlds, the Shuttle to Kenfori. Now, just before we came on air tonight, I dropped a bombshell on Science Officer Synoiz. I said to him, I feel this is the weakest of the 3 episodes we have had thus far from this season. And I've had to... I've watched it twice. I've watched it twice now. And it just could have been so much better. I just feel it was a little bit of a rush. It was a little bit messy. And if I see that damn AR wall one more time, I swear. And then, as I said that, oh, hey, Starfleet Academy is being shown at San Diego Comic-Con. Guess what? AR wall.
Where was the AR wall in this?
When they were on top of the roof. It was the background
was
on the top of the roof. Yeah, it's so transparently obvious now. I'm getting really, really sick of it. Like, I get it. It's a new bit of technology. It's fantastic to use. Come on. It's just, yeah, I don't think it was needed. But yes, so Shuttle to Kenfori. The Enterprise ventures into the demilitarized zone between the Federation and the Klingon Empire to find the one hope that Batel has to remain alive. Now, again, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to absolutely slate this episode. I'm not going to say it was awful or anything like that, because by Strange New World standards, like by any other standards, it's a brilliant episode. But by Strange New World standards, it was the weakest of the three so far. I think there was just so much in the episode that they were struggling to unpack and to deal with and to grasp. And I just... It was just hard. It was hard for me to enjoy this episode because I think there was so much to take in. But also, I think what really upset me was they quashed the Mbenga ambivalence from season 2, where we didn't know if he had killed the Klingon ambassador or not, and it was just left up in the air. And we'll get to that. You know, we will get to that as we review it, because I think they could have done it a lot better. But I think that it was something that didn't need to be explained, and I think they shouldn't. They should have. There would have been a way to maintain that air of mystery even in this episode with that confrontation, if you get me. So do you want to get into it? Which ABC plot do you want to discuss?
it's an odd one because like I feel very differently. Like I very much enjoyed this episode. Like I didn't see it as a weak episode at all. Like I do. If anything, I kind of feel like this weakened the second one for me, because the fact is I like this one so much, but it was the idea of going, oh, it's a bit odd that like we've got like the first episode that was very much kind of like, hey, important plot, and then the second episode that's kind of like, hey, hijinks and stuff, and like not really too much other stuff is explained, you know, like it doesn't go into other people's development as dramatically. And then this one that goes into a lot of development and has a lot of sort of different bits going on. And I kind of like it, but it meant that the second one felt like less complex. Like it kind of felt like it was like a lesser episode because it didn't manage to do as much as the first and third one. Yeah, it very much felt like an episode that could go anywhere in the season. Like I think episode 2 must have been maybe for later on in the series. Or actually no, because Chapel's back. Yeah, I wasn't sure because I was it felt like an episode that you could put anywhere in the series, but they went, hey, let's break up 1 and 3 because that's pretty heavy. But I obviously wasn't. But yeah, but no, I did enjoy it, and I genuinely was not expecting them to bring that plot line back. I thought it would end like you're saying with you know, the ambivalence on it. And I was a bit annoyed that it came back at first, and I was like, oh god, you're going to clear it up, are you? Oh, but that was one of the best bits that you didn't know. But then it worked with it, and it did a great thing with it. And I think what this is going to be is the plot line, the plot thread that has Mbenga leaving. So this could be the reason why he, like, you know, leaves the Enterprise and gets replaced. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting that at all. But it, like I say, I didn't have it on my radar that we'd be continuing this plot. You know, because it's obvious the fact of what happens in this episode. He still has a lot of guilt about it. He still has a lot of inner torment that he refers to as his like monster. I think it's his monster he refers it to. I hope that's the monster. Whereas everyone else is kind of fine with it, and I kind of wonder if this is going to have repercussions for later episodes. And also in this episode, we have us talking about Ortega's monster, like you know, that's slowly developing. So I kind of like the contrast there, but I enjoyed it. But there's a lot of stuff that could have possibly been done better if they'd had a longer episode.
I enjoyed elements of the episode, specifically the A plot, where we got to finally have Mbenga and Pike on their own on a mission, and we got to see we got to uncover this friendship that they have built over the years, and a little bit of exploration of Umbenga as a person outside of what we have experienced in the Klingon War. He's been married divorced 3 times and annulled once.
Been married
he's the Ross
3 times
Geller of Starfleet. Yeah, he's the Ross Geller. He's the divorcer of the Enterprise, right? Which
that man an admiral.
I mean, that's that scene from Hot Shots Part 2, isn't it? She's like, I see you're no stranger to pain. He's like, I've been married twice. Oy. And it's, Umbenga's done it 4 times. He's a fucking legend. But it's that deepening relationship that we get between Pike and Umbenga, and just a range of emotions from Anson Mount as well as Pike. And Synoiz sent me a message last night, and he was because you were saying you were thinking, like, someone had asked you, like, who do you think is the best captain?
It came up on one of these Facebook things, on one of the, I think I'm part of a group called Gay Trek Geeks on Facebook, and someone was asking, like, who do you think your favorite captain is? And it was weird because I thought about it and I was like, oh, obviously, like, Picard. Oh wait, no, maybe Sisko. No, actually Janeway. No, Archer's really good. And then when I thought about it, I was like, I think it's actually Pike. Like, I think out of all the captains, he's probably the most well-rounded. Like, he's the one he's an action daddy. He's like empathic daddy. He's like, he trusts his crew. Everything about him is like well-rounded. Like, he's like Kirk without the hot-headedness.
He's like a blend of the positive elements between Kirk and Picard, and they're like blended into this perfect. Perfect. Sorry, I just saw a picture of it.
Why can't we go to destination? Why can't we go to destination?
Why do I have a restraining order? But he's just like he's not perfect. Let's be honest. No one is perfect, but it's just he is one of the best captains, and I think even just in 2 short seasons, he is proved. Anson Mount has proved that he can truly embody Christopher Pike in a way that no other character has ever been able to. Bruce Greenwood did it, and then obviously the original one, Jeffrey Hunter, did it in the 60s. But I think, Jeffrey Hunter, those eyes. Jeffrey,
I'm kind of glad we didn't get a show. I've said it before. I'm glad we didn't get a show with Jeffrey Hunter in it, simply because I wouldn't be able to pay attention to the plot. Like, he was way too beautiful for any kind of, like,
piercing
casual TV show. Yeah, everything about him was done.
Imagine, like, in 64, when everything was about to be turned into colour, and then the first thing you see in a sci-fi show is those piercing blue eyes of Jeffrey Hunter.
Yeah, I would have been moist back in the 60s.
But anyway, Shuttle to Kenfori. So we see that Pike and Umbenga, after much protest from Pike, because it's originally going to be Spock and Umbenga beaming down to a planet in the DMZ to obtain this plant, which they believe...
Basically, the issue is, the beginning of the episode is that Patel is doing well. She's recovering from her Gorn infection that they got rid of in episode 1. However, Pike then finds her collapsed in their quarters, and Umbenga basically goes, yep, the infection's come back and it's way worse than ever. We've looked at options and this is the only option we have, where there's basically this plant. And what did they say? It said that basically the plant can sift invasive tissue through cell membranes. So basically they can get the Gorn DNA out of Patel by using properties of this plant. It doesn't really go into it, but one of those things where when something gives you like a MacGuffin and goes, hey, we need to go over here to get this thing, and it just goes because. And I quite like that Star Trek always goes, oh, because sciencey bit, and you're like, okay, cool, you've kind of justified it a little bit.
Yeah, they go into the explanation and the justification of why we need to do this. Like, oh, why can't the Enterprise go to warp here? Oh, because this part of space has got these pockets of things and you can't go into warp because... And it's
whereas
sort of
lesser shows would be like, oh, but Captain, we can't go to warp here. And that would be it. And you'd be like, but
Doctor,
why?
we've travelled back in time before. There was no Brummy Daleks. Shut up!
It's like,
Um,
oh, but we can't go back to that bit of time because it's locked. Or so, oh, someone was explaining it to me.
or Voyager, where it's just like a Chakotay episode. He's like, my people have. Shut up, Chakotay. But
Shut up.
but it's been a while since I've done that.
Chakotay.
It's been a while since I've done that. That was a nod to the hardcore fans there. I get you.
All one of them. Hi,
All
Beth.
wow.
How are you doing?
Wow. Okay. Need a tip button, fellas. Give me money. But
Tip the velvet.
Tip the velvet. Yep. Tip the what? Oh, 90s softcore. So we so they find that there is this plant that is, they believe is capable of doing this, and the only location that is known to them is on this planet in a now demilitarized zone between the Federation and the Klingon border. It was a Federation outpost, but they gave it up as part of the treaty, so it's a no-fly zone, a DMZ, essentially. So the mission has to be unofficial. The Enterprise can't go in. It has to be a shuttle, all top secret. Spock and Umbenga volunteer to go down. Pike obviously interjects, as Battelle knows he would interject because it's Pike. So it ends up being Umbenga and Pike going down to this planet in the DMZ. And again, it's that lovely little to and from that we get earlier on in the episode between Umbenga and Pike that I really appreciate, because we get to see. For me, Umbenga is quite a deep, serious character because of the issues that he's had in the past. And, he's being portrayed as this war veteran with PTSD, and we've had this like harrowing experience. And it's just nice to occasionally get the more human, well, not more human, but like the other side of him, where it's like he can have a laugh with the captain. And
this is the thing, it's the idea of when you have backstories between characters, you need to kind of reinforce them. Like, you need to kind of have moments where you just go, oh yeah, remember that we actually know each other from before here, and remember that we used to do this, and we get this wonderful moment where they're talking about the past together and they're doing that. And hold on, the poll's just completed. Oh, it's nearly a tie. The poll that we put up for the audio listeners here is, what is worse, cheating or Coldplay? And the options are Coldplay and Coldplay but more cold. Well, Coldplay but more cold has won with 60% of the vote. Cheating was never an option. It was always
cheating is never an option. Let that be a life lesson.
Yes. But we get this moment, and I think the lesser shows would just kind of say, oh, but we said that they went back together. We don't need to reinforce that with anything. And you get it with stuff where they just go, oh, I didn't realize those characters were friends if you hadn't told me that they were friends. Like, I remember, like, Babylon 5 does it a lot, where it just has these relationships between characters that, like, you're like, oh, really? Oh, okay, that could have been brought up once or twice, maybe. Or,
it feels forced when it's not when it's like, if we are not bashing this, but if you look at Discovery, where the relationships felt forced and like, we're all one big happy family. Cool. Can we get the evolution of this? Can we get the dynamics of this? No.
Could you name the bridge crew, please? I want to know who that person is. They've been in a lot of episodes, and I didn't catch their name in any of them.
Whereas Strange New Worlds straight off the bat built those relationships, but we know that this is an experienced crew. That, they're not just all meeting for the first time. They have been on this ship for years. They've been on other postings for years. They've met throughout the galaxy, and they've got those relationships. And it's nice to just see how natural it all feels. Like, you look at Umbenga and Pike, and your brain just goes, yeah, they've known each other for years. They've clearly they've been through death and life together. They've known each other for years. They've experienced things, and they are having a laugh. They're exchanging war stories, and it's fun, and it feels genuine.
And that's there's two main plot things that I want to talk about in this, and that is basically because we've got the main one, but more the hidden ones are the themes in this are friendships and the strain you can get on friendships. Where it's basically Pike and Umbenga's friendship is like put to the test here, where there is a revelation later on in the episode, and it's like, oh, okay, how is Pike going to deal with this one? But then there's also the relationship between Ortegas and Una, where it's the fact of Una has to be the superior officer to Ortegas, and be like, and basically, you know what it's like, where you're someone's manager, but you're also their friend, and you have
Yes,
to
I
put your
do.
foot down. Yeah, you have to put your foot down and just be like, I have to discipline you for this, because you fucked up. But and
It's
it's
it's a
interesting
fine
that
line.
dynamic. Yeah, that we get these two things, and we realize that when you're working together on a starship, you are friends, but you're also part of a unit, and you have to work together as a unit, and there can't be too many secrets between them. And I think that's a nice little theme in this.
Yeah. Let's get to the meat of it. So this planet, this abandoned planet where that apparently has no life yet, flora and fauna absolutely flourishes. I mean, visually, it's a stunning episode. I think it looks beautiful. The planet's
Except
surface,
for that wall.
except for the wall, but it just. I mean, I bash the wall, but it's overused, I think. But visually, the episode is stunning, and I think it's obvious it's got inspirations from The Last of Us in the way that it's all set out and all designed. But I think the sets that they've used, the props that they use in this episode are fantastic. And again, we go on about this every week, right? There's two things I would really want to highlight in this episode. Una's hair.
Ugh.
No.
Hear
me out.
Take it away.
Hear me out. They tried something. They could have just left it, but they tried something. And they tried
planet, something and they failed.
And the planet's surface and everything that inhabits the planet's surface, I think it is all credit to makeup, production, set design, and everything like that. This is where the money is spent. It is absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. It really, really does. And when they get down to that surface and they find that Klingon skeleton and with its like rib cage just like burst open like that, I'm like, oh, you know what's gonna happen.
I like all of it. I think it, like the visuals in this episode, the set design and stuff is absolutely incredible. Una's hair is a misstep. I couldn't take my eyes off it,
tried something. They
like
tried something.
I guess it's like Janeway, like when you watch the first season of Voyager, and you're like, that was a choice, and I didn't mind it when I was first watching. But when you go, oh look, she has good hair in later seasons.
Is that the one where it's like short and then it's like a little bouffant?
I can't.
I will say in defense, right? Ellie Littlechild from Trek Culture pulls that look off impeccably.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, Janeway, Ellie. So
yeah. She's perfected it, but yeah,
she has perfected the craft. Okay, so but Uda's hair definitely a design choice. Yeah.
But on this planet, they go to the facility and then they find that some of these plants that they're needing. What's it called? The hybrid. It's called
Chimera plant.
The Chimera plant. They find some of them there, and this is something I have a gripe with, where basically Umbenga, none of them wearing protective gear. Like, I'm a bit annoyed at this. Like, we've seen that they have spacesuits and stuff. We've seen that they have sort of like, hey, look, here's, dangerous stuff. Like, there's a warning buoy outside the planet, and then they still went like, hey.
Yeah, the Klingon warning buoy that just basically says like, do not enter or something like that.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh well, don't need any protection for this planet, which I think is very silly. So I was fully expecting someone to get infected over the course of this episode, but luckily they don't go down that route. But they find this plant, and then Umbenga gets out his stuff and goes, oh yeah, when dealing with these strange alien plants, I should probably wear some gloves and a mask. And then he just gets a cloth out of his bag and wraps it around his mouth. And I'm like,
it's not
helmets?
2020.
You know the whole thing where you're just like, I'm pretty sure you have helmets. I'm pretty sure eye protection.
I'm pretty sure I've got the prop.
It seemed very unprofessional, I think,
Allow me to demonstrate 23rd century technology.
Yeah, there we go. That's it. It's just like you're fully protected from all alien plants and now.
Hang on. Oh, shit, no, I'm a chin diaper. There we go.
There we go. So yeah,
I
do you feel
am a scientist. I
That's it.
am now fully
fully
protected.
protected?
I am fully protected from any flora or fauna that tries to enter my orifices, because my orifices have now been covered by this impenetrable gangster bandana.
It would have been good if he'd used the gangster bandana, to be fair. But yeah, but they get
For real, yo.
Oh god, make it stop.
Rap,
But yeah,
rap.
but what they do is they get an example of this flower, and they put it away. But then but then there comes a revelation, which is that actually, the hybridization that this plant does. Well, what their flower does is it hybridizes cells. Like the study that they were doing was to basically make infinite food, I believe. It was to make it so that, you know,
So they found it was a type of wheat that basically they found can it was sort of like it
like a moss.
ingests. It's like a moss that ingests and grows and thrives, and they were trying to use its properties to transplant that property to like a wheat plant, where no matter what you feed it essentially or where it goes, it will grow, so that they could send this to Federation colonies where it could, you know, it could be too far away for a regular supply drop, or they could have issues with fertilization of the grounds. And so this is it's like a miracle plant where no matter where it goes or anything like that, it will grow, it will thrive, it will feed. So they were trying to solve the problem of hunger in the it's not a massive problem, but it's like to solve that problem in the colonies. If there is ever a problem, these colonies can thrive because they've got this miracle, you know, this miracle
and also
ingredient.
they can use its properties to basically make, you know, do whatever they want, and basically go, hey, let's make some infinite, like you know, some super strong corn or whatnot that'll grow in any environment.
I mean, word up.
The Klingons attacked the facility, and then it got out, and it turns out that this moss latched onto everything on the planet, and then basically started hybridizing everything.
It's always the
created
fungus.
all of these. That's it. It's created all this dangerous fungus and moss around the planet that's basically eating everything. So all these bodies that they're finding, where they're finding sort of Klingon legs and stuff sort of stuck into the walls, where they're just kind of like finding a shoe in the undergrowth and then pulling it out, and it's just got half a leg on it and whatnot, which is pretty brutal, I think.
It's the fact it's just like, you know, what would do something, and you know, like say what, you know, what could cause like damage, and it's like this is devouring. This is something that was devoured.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, they're definitely not alone. They're absolutely not alone. And when they get the plant and just about to leave, and they hear those screams as well, it's just like, oh.
Because that's exactly what happens. Because basically, what happens is then the Klingons appear at the planet. So somehow, even though they've been as secretly possible, a small Klingon ship with about 5 people or something comes to the planet, blows up their shuttle, and their only means of escape, and then starts attacking the facility that they're in. So they immediately have to hide from Klingons and try and fight off these Klingons.
I'm gonna say something though. Keep talking.
Yeah. Well, they have to fight off these Klingons, and there's like a firefight where they've got the phasers, and they're, you know, trying to defeat the Klingons. They take out a few of them. However, then something else arrives and begins attacking them. And what is that other thing, Mr. Goodwill?
It's a Zambo. It is a zombie, as Pike calls it later on. It is.
He doesn't call it a zombie. He just goes, "Is it a Z word?"
No, he says the word zombie. He does say the word zombie. Yeah, he does.
I thought he went like,
for want of a better
Z
term.
word?
Yeah, for want of a better term, a zombie. It is an undead entity, one that is not detectable on tricorders because it is not alive, apparently. But I love this because what is that horror movie? What is that horror? Because this scene is a clear rip-off of that. What is the horror movie where that guy they take. I know they did it in Shaun of the Dead, but they take him out. Like the zombies pull him out and they rip his guts open. Start
That's
feasting.
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
The lift scene.
I'm not. Yeah. I think it is. No, guys in the chat. What is that scene? What is that scene?
I think the guy getting pulled into is
I've got
Dawn
no
of the Dead,
words.
but maybe it's one of the bikers because it's not the actual other guy because he doesn't.
It's a homage to one of the scenes. Yeah. The one thing I did like, though, I mean, going back to when the Klingons land, they brought back Discovery Klingon ships. But the thing is, as well, right? I got so many Dune vibes from this.
Yeah.
It's just an aside. Hang on a minute. It's just an aside because when that shuttle lands on the roof and the little things on the side, they're all like doing that. And I'm just like, someone in VFX has watched Dune and went, yeah, that shit's fire. And they just animated that.
Well, this is the weird thing because obviously we see the shuttle later on in the episode.
Yeah.
But it was really odd because I was going to ask you how you felt about it because I obviously haven't seen that shuttle before. Like I've seen Discovery, but I don't remember seeing it in that. That's the impact of the visual effects there had on me.
With season 3, with season no, sorry, go on. Sorry.
But no, it was the fact of seeing that and going like, oh, I wonder how Goodwill feels about that ship because the problem was I was looking at it being like, that doesn't even look slightly Klingon. Like it's such a weird, fragile thing, you know? It's such a sort of fragile and like ornamental and like elegant kind of like ship. And you're sitting there being like, we've just seen a bird of prey where they're literally like, hey, it just needs to work, which is the Klingon way, effectively. So it did look massively out of place. I was like, are they bounty hunters or something? Or
so because we weren't,
you saying that it's from Discovery makes me go, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So obviously we weren't on the air when Discovery season 1 happened. So the story behind how the Klingon ships looked was these are very old Klingon ships, and Klingon ships use very like they're essentially antiquated vessels, and Klingons have been in space for hundreds of years. And after the Klingon War, obviously they were down, and they have to re-establish and rebuild new ships, and that's why you get the D7 and everything like that. Blah 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 blah. What we have found, what us eagle-eyed ship pervs have found with season 3 of Strange New Worlds is there is a transition going on when it comes to the ships and the stations and everything that we are seeing. So in the intro for season 3 of Strange New Worlds, there's like a scene with the starbase and you see a lot of ships around it. What they have done, they have essentially taken the ships from Star Trek Discovery that we see, and they are slowly like refitting, changing them. So instead of having square nacelles, they've got cylindrical nacelles to be more TOS, and they're sort of like very gradually transitioning the visual aesthetic of everything to a more TOS era. So what we see with the Klingons here, not just the ships but the actual Klingons themselves, is a transition taking place where we see, obviously we've got the Klingons that we have known for decades. We've got the Klingons from Discovery that are slowly starting to be phased out, and you know, like regular Klingons are starting to be taken up. What surprises me with Strange New Worlds is they haven't taken that step yet to have smooth ridged Klingons from the original series.
Yeah.
As in, because we all know as Star Trek fans, in season 4 of Enterprise, it's explained why the Klingons in the original series had smooth ridges, because the Klingons were messing around with augmented DNA from the eugenics wars, which they stole from us. That is why they all had smooth heads, and a large majority of Klingons had that. I would love it if we got to see Discovery Klingons, regular Klingons, and then smooth ridged Klingons all together. And sort of just like tie everything all in together and go, yes, obviously there's Klingons from different regions, but then there's those Klingons, and they could be like, you know, outcasts or something like that with the smooth ridges or something.
You know what? I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they will.
Should.
I think they're gonna retcon it. Like they haven't shown a Discovery Klingon in Strange New Worlds yet,
They
have
have. They
Have they?
have. Yes.
When was
They
that?
showed one in season 2, episode 1. We saw a Discovery era Klingon in that. We did.
I do not remember it. But yes,
Oh.
because I remember there was a flash of one in Lower Decks. There was a flash
Yes.
of one in the last one of Lower Decks, and that was the
Yes.
only one I remember. But it's
Yes.
it's an interesting one because the fact is, it's one of those ones where when do you address? It's like the whole like Jabba the Hutt thing from Star Wars, where it's the where we just kind of go, he was a bloke in the original film, and then they decided to make him like a big worm thing in the third film, and then you're like, oh, and then they went back later and they fixed the thing, and it's kind of like, I wonder if maybe if it wasn't too much money, if given the choice, they would just change the smooth-ridged Klingons from TOS and be like,
I
hey, you
don't
look
know.
like TNG Klingons. Like, I think
don't
if they could, they would, but
Hmm.
that's my opinion on it.
So
But yeah, anyway, the episode, but the only thing I really didn't like about the Klingons, I loved the way they acted. I loved her, the main one, which is
Yes.
like, I don't know her name, but I'm going to refer to her as
the
the daughter.
the daughter of the ambassador, yeah.
Yeah, but basically, I loved everything about them. But the gold, I thought that the gold armor was a joke from the musical episode in order to make them seem more like rappers. You know that thing where when they appear and they do their musical bit in that and they're wearing bright gold and it's very dramatic and it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite bits.
Yeah.
But I thought they were wearing bright gold there as a joke, and that was just a special kind of crew. But then to see them doing this in broad daylight, wearing gold armor, looks terrible. It looks, I hate
Chintzy.
it. It looks like, why would the Klingons do that? Like, it's so, I don't know, it's so not Klingon, you know, this idea. Like, they're meant to be sort of, you know, battle-worn armor, and it's all like sort of dented and bloodied and all of that. Like, to have this kind of ornamental, ceremonial, it's like if every Starfleet officer always wore dress robes, you'd be like, what are you doing?
I think it goes back to that transitional period for the Klingons. I think
Are they trying to
We
just make it more Discovery, and that's what it is?
We
'Cause
don't
I remember they
deny.
wore gold in that.
yeah, we don't deny that the HR Giga aesthetic for those Klingons was amazing. Don't get me wrong, the design aesthetic was amazing. The actual Klingons themselves was a mistake. They tried to reinvent the wheel. It didn't work. They backed themselves into a corner and they tried to come up with explanations. Well, these are Klingons from the southern region. And it's just like, well, how come we've never, ever seen them before?
They
Do you know what I
could have
mean?
made a new race.
They could have made a new race.
None of it was relevant to them being Klingons. from
Or
what I
they
saw.
could have just made regular Klingons. But they didn't. They wanted to push the boat out, and I think they backed themselves into a corner. And I think over the years they've tried to sort of phase it out and phase it out and phase it out. And I think with it, when it comes to the armor, very much like the ships, it's like a remnant of a bygone era. You know, the Klingon Empire is obviously reeling from the thing of war, and they're just using what they've got. They're using their old ships, and I think if we were given more time, if Stranger Worlds was given more seasons, we would see that very much like what we are seeing with Starfleet and the uniforms and everything like that eventual transition to how we see the Klingons in the original series and then the movies, etc., etc., etc. I just think one design decision in 2016 and 2017 has had ramifications for nearly a decade that they have tried to unravel.
And honestly, I preferred if they just ignored it. I'd much prefer if they just went, hey, don't need to fit any of that in. Let's just ignore it.
Let's just
that would have
crack
been
on.
far easier, because like I say, the gold armor doesn't do anything for me, but the way they act and the way they look aside from that is brilliant, I think, in this episode.
Yeah.
But then they get attacked by zombies, and it turns out that all the bodies on the planet, all the dead Klingons, have become these plant zombies that don't show up on scanners. Don't understand how that works, because how does it work out what life is? Like, surely they've got some kind of...
Surely it would detect movement.
Yeah, like pulse or movement or like brain power patterns or something, because they're obviously thinking. I don't know. It must be that they're so plant-like that it doesn't know the difference between it. But anyway, and then they all get attacked. A lot of the Klingons get killed by the zombies. It is an interesting one though, because it has a scene where basically Pike and Mbenga are about to get like swamped by the zombies, and they're literally breaking through the window and jumping into the room. So Pike overloads his phaser and throws it into like the mass of them, and it only kills like a few of them, and it's the most futile gesture. Yeah, it's a weird thing to have, because I like that they did it, but it's very underwhelming as a kind of you wasted a phaser then.
I think as well that there was supposed to be a jump scare there, and it just misfired spectacularly with that Klingon banging on the window. They could have done that a little bit better to give us that jump scare.
Yeah, I the thing is, I'm not a fan of jump scares. I think they're
I think if you can see that's what they were trying to do with that part there, but it just didn't work. You know what I mean? It just didn't work. If you were going to do it, either do it right or don't do it at all. You know what I mean? That was just a missed attempt, like a misstep for me. But again, I had to double check when they get under the table, like they hide in like a box or a table or something like that.
They hide in a cupboard.
Is it a cupboard? Yeah. So they hide under. I had to watch that twice, because I completely blurred out, whether I was tired or anything. I completely blurred out as to they hid in this box and they were being overwhelmed by zombies, and then suddenly the Klingons are there. And I was like, what the hell happened?
So what happened is they jump into a cupboard. They jump into like a metal cupboard or something. The zombies are banging on it and stuff. And then there's phaser fire. And then it's the Klingons coming in from behind the zombies, shooting all of them and killing them all. And then the Klingons open the cupboard and go, hey, cool, you're under arrest. Well, we're taking you away.
Yeah.
But then immediately more zombies come in and kill most of the Klingons. Well, they bite some of the Klingons, and it's quite cool because the daughter Klingon basically just shoots the zombie and then shoots her like teammate, just in an obvious like, oh well, he's probably infected. Shoot him in the head.
It's the most Klingon thing for me.
Yeah, but then eventually the way it works is it's only her left. It's only her and them, and then they have to sort of somehow escape. And this is the bit I don't like, because she does the whole thing of, I'm going to stand behind you with a phaser and you're going to walk. And then it just goes, somehow they got out of the building. Like, how?
Somehow they got to the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're sitting there just be like, this is a bit, okay, a leap of faith there. But yeah, they get to the roof, but then the zombies start attacking again. They come through the sort of the door that they've just gone. Mbenga tries to block it, and all they get to do is they're fully surrounded by zombies, and then conveniently there's a random force field pen on top of them. And this is a bit weird. Like, usually as a narrative you would foreshadow this, or you would mention it, or you would have them pass
like there's a quarantine field for deliveries or something like that on the so there's a shuttle pad, and then next to the shuttle pad there is a quarantine if everything's in, so it can be inspected and checked before it's allowed into a sealed facility, or something to that. With this it's just here is a random force field box.
Yeah, so they're there, and then they pull the switch down, and it turns the force field on, because obviously it still works without them checking, and then it keeps the zombies out, and then it's the three of them trapped in this force field, and they're finally able to confront the Klingon about why she's doing this, what's going on. And it's got quite a good twist, where basically Pike goes, hey, we need to work together to get through this, and then she immediately pulls a knife out and just stabs him in the leg. Like, immediately to disable him, which is like a very good tactic. And then it turns out that her and Mbenga have beef, and it turns out
Mbenga doesn't know about.
Yeah, that Mbenga doesn't know about, because it turns out she is the daughter of the ambassador who he accidentally killed in season 2.
Or did he?
In the PDS. Well, that's it. But then what it turns out is basically she is doing the whole thing, and this is what I want to talk about. This is a really important thing for me for this episode. a lot of parallels here to the DS9 episode House of Quark that we were randomly just talking about the other day. The idea of when a family member or the leader of a clan, a house in Klingon, dies dishonorably, where does it go? Like, what happens to the kids and stuff? So, and what happens here is basically because he was dishonored, because he had turned to the Federation, because he had become an ambassador and he'd taken up this, and we're not sure if it was real or not, or him just kind of, playing tricks, but him taking on this pacifist kind of role with the Federation has brought great shame to his house. And him dying before that shame could be dealt with, or before any of his family could kill him and then take up the mantle, means that they are shamed by proxy. And so she believes that the only way that she can get rid of this and bring honor back to the family is by killing the person who killed him.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into the House of Quark thing, where did he die by accident, as Mbenga says to Pike, as he sort of puts in the official records, that the guy lunged through him, then the dagger sort of was there and he fell onto it, kind of thing? Or in which case, does that shame her family the same way as it would have done in House of Quark? And so what happens is she has this wonderful moment where she has the blade at Pike's neck. She has the blade at Pike's neck, and she asks Mbenga straight out, did you assassinate my father? And Mbenga basically just goes, yeah, I did. It's actually, honestly, amazing, because what's the line he says? He says, yeah. He says, like, I did, and I would do it again. Like,
I had the opportunity to kill a mass murderer, and I took it, and I would do it again. Yeah,
that's it. And he says, like, sort of, it's just everything about it is absolutely brilliant. Like, it's the he says, like, actually even before this, where she goes, do you recognize me? Do you recognize the face of an enemy? And he just goes, like, I have killed too many Klingons to know which house you're from.
He is the butcher of Jagal.
Brutal thing to say to someone.
He is the butcher of Jagal, though. Let's not forget, he is a killing machine, as we find in the season 2 episode, which our friend David was the biggest star of them all, and I don't care what anyone says.
But I like that he admits to her that he did kill it, and obviously Pike's like, oh, that's not what you said to me, and that's not what we put on the official record.
So, I don't like this.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll tell you for why, as Uncle Bryn would say, and I tell you for why. With that episode in season 2, there was a great ambivalence as to what actually happened. All right. And we actually covered this when we reviewed that episode, to say I would have liked to have known whether or not it just would have happened. And it would have been a great thing to see Mbenga getting that twisted kind of closure on that chapter of his life by avenging everyone who had died on Jagal by killing the Klingon ambassador. But they didn't, and they did it with the frosted glass, and there was an ambivalence. Fine, move on. To take away that mystery in this episode does a disservice to the previous episode. It takes away the ambivalence, and I think the way that they could have done it, the best way that they could have done it, again, parallel in the House of Quark, Pike's got a knife to his throat. Mbenga then says, I killed your father. He does that amazing speech. He says all that, but then goes to Pike at the end. I told her what she wanted to hear. I told her what she wanted to hear to help you escape, because if it was between me and you with her, I would choose you because you're the captain, blah blah blah. I would sacrifice myself. So I told her what she wanted to hear to save your life, thus keeping that mystery, that ambivalence from season 2 alive. But for them to just go, yeah, he killed him, and he has no regrets about it. It did such a disservice, because I remember that scene, right, after the ambassador died, the scene where Pike and Umbenga are having that conversation, and Umbenga just says, I believe it's like, if I did kill him, I would have had no regrets. I would, do you know what I mean? I would have been glad. I would, I would have done it. I wouldn't have regretted it. And it's just sort of, this episode takes away from that. It just takes away the brilliance of that episode and the ambivalence that we face.
I don't know. I think we can see this in another light, where it's the fact of, we do have that where the ambivalence was good, but that would have been cool if they weren't planning to do anything with it. If they tidied it up and then it wasn't going to be a bigger thing. But I have a feeling that this is going to be an overhanging thing for Umbenga for the rest of the show, in the regards of Pike's relationship with Umbenga, and maybe what if other people find out, like Una and like being an augment and stuff. So I think there's more to be done with it, and they could have done that. They literally could have had him say, "Oh yeah, I just said that to so she wouldn't kill you," and then having a twinkle in the eye of, "We still don't really know," like Garrick's backstory, where you're still like,
do you think?
We've talked about it a lot, and we still don't know what the actual truth is, but.
Do you think?
But then again, remember when we did this episode, when we talked about that episode, I was saying how badass it would be if it was just, yeah, he killed him. Like,
yeah, and I agreed.
Thinking on that side of it, just being like, yeah, I like the idea of Umbenga just being like, you know what, I saved the galaxy from a fucking evil.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did, but, the ambivalence made it spicier.
Do you think, I'm going to propose this to you, because you alluded to this earlier on. I don't think Umbenga's going to leave, because he never left in the original series. He was in the original series, so I don't think he's going to leave, or he's not going to leave permanently.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some kind of accountability? Umbenga is going to face some sort of justice for what he has done. He is the chief medical officer on board the Enterprise. Something happens to Umbenga that relinquishes that position, ergo bringing in Dr. McCoy as the CEO, and then Umbenga comes back as Dr. McCoy's understudy, so to speak.
Possibly. It's the stuff like, it could be a demotion. It could be something where basically it comes out and he gets demoted or something, and then can't be like the chief medical officer of the Enterprise anymore.
There's something going to change, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. It's like the ambivalence was cool, but as long as they do more with it. And I wasn't expecting this plot to come back, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it, and I kind of love the idea of Umbenga just being haunted by his demons, because the idea of this coming back again, of him going, yes, I've had to do some terrible stuff, was it morally right? Which is how he refers to this monster. Like, that after he's fighting her, he says the line sort of like, I lied to protect the monster that still lives inside me, and should the day come when he is needed again. Yeah. Like, the idea of he protects this horribleness inside him because it gets him through situations, because it allows him the strength and the sort of focus to do these terrible things that helped in the long run, apparently. But basically she challenges him to a fight, a duel for honor. Umbenga and her fight. It's actually quite dramatic. During the fight, he damages the shield projector like a fool, and then basically beats her, and then just gives up before killing her, which pisses her off massively. So it leaves her no option than to only get her honor back by dying like gloriously in battle.
Yeah.
So what happens is she draws all of the zombies to one side of the net, the opposite side to where they need to go, like to get to the shuttle. And then when the force field comes down, she attacks all the zombies, she gets eaten, and they all run to the ship. But then Umbenga is quite wonderful, because he basically says like, Tovacor will welcome you to her. And it's, basically it's the only outcome that allows him to live and her to reclaim her honor in her eyes, effectively.
So let's touch upon
And then it's all meaningless because they just get teleported out anyway. If they just stayed there, not fighting for 5 more minutes, they would have been fine. But here we are.
let's touch upon the linked plot to this main plot, which is obviously Batel, and Batel's reluctance to tell Pike about Umbenga and Spock's plan.
Yeah, because what it turns out is this plant they've got hybridizes everything, like hybridizes cells. So the plan wasn't to get rid of the Gorn cells through it. I think Umbenga just lied with the science bit at the beginning.
Yeah,
like it doesn't seem like that. I think he just straight up lied to Pike. Actually, there is no cure. There is absolutely no cure. They've gone through everything. There's nothing they can do to get the Gorn cells out of her body. So all they can do is make her Gorn cells merge and become one with her human cells so that she becomes some kind of new hybrid entity, and then the cells will stop attacking her human cells. That is the only way that they can think to keep her alive. And then when Pike finds this out, he goes a bit nuts because he's like, why did no one ask my opinion? Why did Patel not consult me or anything? And that's the question. It's the idea of, if he is so important to her, why did she leave him out of this discussion and this decision? But then at the end, when there's a sort of a resolution between him and Patel, she's like, I just don't want to die, so I kind of had to just pick the not dying option rather than the and rather than having a discussion with you that I'd have to ignore anyway because I don't want to die. And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you have the whole, hey, you want your family sort of and your loved ones to be involved in decisions around your life, but at the end of the day, it's your life. So...
I enjoyed the mind meld between Patel and Spock as well. I thought that was a nice little scene.
I'm not sure how I feel about the mind, because there's a scene where basically Spock goes, hey, Patel's in a lot of pain. What I can do is I can teach her pain, like meditation that'll stop the pain. However, we don't have time for that. So maybe if I do a mind meld, I can kind of, it's like it's lazy learning, basically, where he's going to basically give her the knowledge through a mind meld of how you meditate and like ignore your pain. It doesn't quite go according to plan, though, does it?
So Spock carries out a mind meld. However, the presence of the Gorn DNA within Batel is ever more dominant, and what we get to experience through Spock's eyes is how a Gorn sees the world, and we see that the Gorn are screaming and they are angry, they are raging, and it's. Again, I think it's foreshadowing for the rest of the season when it comes to Batel, because let's not forget, she not only has Illyrian DNA inside her, she also has Gorn DNA inside her. And again, look at the moral quandary that Starfleet had with just Illyrian DNA.
Yeah.
What are they going to do when they find out, where they go, well, hang on a minute, not only does she have illegal augmented DNA inside her, she's also now part Gorn. So she's an augment and she's a Gornment.
She might even turn into some kind of like hybrid. Like she might grow horns or scales or something like that. She might even become a bit like a Gorn, which is a terrifying thing. I mean, it's like, but it's really scary. Like what Starfleet are going to do. Like I haven't had that much different DNA in me since Berlin, but for her to be having that inside this show is just. I'm really interested to see where they go with that as a plot, effectively. But yeah, the mind meld, it ends up with Spock punching the ensign doctor, who we don't know what his name is.
I want to know more about him. I really do. He looks like a real stand-up guy.
All he does in this episode is get punched, effectively, where Spock lashes out at him and whatnot, and Chapel has... a rant at Spock, but it kind of shows just how powerful the Gorn psyche is, because that's the thing, we always used to think of the Gorn as like this primitive species, like just this big thing that throws boulders like and fights Kirk. But then what this is saying is actually they're more evolved than humans, and their psyche is a lot more powerful than humans and a lot more powerful than Vulcans even. And it's a weird little scene that felt like they shoehorned it in there. I feel like they shoehorned it in there for a bit of character development and a bit of foreshadowing for later in the series.
It is a bit of foreshadowing,
but it's not this. It doesn't slot perfectly into the episode. I don't think.
Also, the way that Spock just walks out and goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, Ensign," and just
Yeah, for
continues
punching
walking.
you across the room.
Yeah, I'm sorry I decked you, but yeah, bye. So yeah, the other plot of the episode. Again, this is not the Ortegas episode that we all are clambering for, but it is more Ortegas, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It is the insubordination of Ortegas in this episode.
Yeah.
She's back on duty. She's piloting the ship. Everyone's missed her wild piloting style. However,
She's been recovering from the injuries that she suffered
from
against
the Gorn
in episode 1.
And again, I think what we are seeing in this episode is the trauma from the Gorn, but also unresolved issues from the Klingon War also starting to creep up. And like we alluded to last week, we think Ortegas is a type of person that compartmentalizes everything and uses humor, cockiness, arrogance as a defense mechanism to not deal with that. Like, I use humor to mask how I feel and, you know, to not deal with stuff. Other people approach things differently, and I think what we are seeing is this overconfident lieutenant not be humbled, but realize that she's not as invulnerable as she thought she was. And you know, we have seen a change within her within these last 3 episodes.
The thing is that this isn't the first time we've seen this kind of behavior even in Trek. I mean, remember, we reviewed it a couple of months ago, but the Voyager episode Extreme Risk, where B'Elanna Torres starts, she's getting depression. I think the plot is that she thinks she's the last member of her family left.
The Marquis
the Marquis destroyed. And everything that she kind of believed in is now gone. And so she just starts taking these crazy risks. She starts turning the safety controls off on the holodeck. She starts doing stuff without any thought for anyone else, just to kind of feel something. But then what we have in this episode is with Ortegas has been reminded that she can be defeated, that she's not as strong as she thought she was. And here she is in this whole episode trying to have a semblance of power, trying to have a semblance of authority, where she's coming in with these ideas going, I think we should do this. And yes, it's dangerous, but it's a big risk, but wow, that reward is amazing. And I'm going to prove how great I am. I'm going to prove that I'm the best pilot because I'm going to do this and I can pull it off and no one else can do that. Look how great I am. And everyone else is going, that's reckless as all hell. Everyone is going, that's cool, but that's not how we work around here. People don't just get to do their own thing. They, and so, Una lets her propose her ideas, and, because basically what happens is Una and Spock are going, hey, what we should do is turn all the power off and slowly, over the course of 4 hours, move through the asteroid belt so that the Klingons won't be able to detect us.
The reason why they're doing that is because Pike and Umbenga haven't checked in at their regularly scheduled time, so they believe that they are in danger, and the only way to recover them is to maneuver the Enterprise into the DMZ, but they need to do it without signaling the Klingon vessel that is hiding in the asteroid belt between them and the planet.
Yeah. Because basically what has happened is that it turns out that the Klingons that appeared on the planet weren't just randomly in the area. They had a tracking device on Umbenga, where basically they were tracking him, so they went down to the planet. So the other Klingons have appeared to...
It's a nice undiscovered country callback, Viridian tracking.
Yeah. But it's great. But yes, and then Ortegas basically just goes, hey, but that's going to take forever. If we just slowly go, why don't we just warp in immediately through the asteroid belt into the planet's atmosphere, transport them out, and then zip out again? And all of them are going, that would take some crazy piloting.
Ludicrously dangerous. Yeah,
ludicrously dangerous. And they're like, hey, let's try other options first. And Ortegas is like, no, let's go for this one. She's being insubordinate. She's being uncharacteristically unreasonable, I think. And Una is concerned. So they have this meeting. They decide at the end, they decide at the end that, actually we're going to go with Spock's plan. Sorry, Ortegas. And then Ortegas storms out effectively, sort of, and then
Well, it's after Uhura. It's after Uhura basically says, "Well, your plan wouldn't
doesn't back
really,
her up.
wouldn't really work because of communications and sensors
No,
from Klingons."
she doesn't say it won't work. It's simply the fact of Ortegas is saying we need to do my plan because the matter is urgent. We don't know how long they have because the Klingons could have killed them already, kind of thing.
And they don't take visitors.
Yeah, and then they ask Uhura basically like, "Hey, have you seen any indications on the comms that the Klingons know we're here or that they're going to notice us or anything?" And she's like, "Nope, there's no comm traffic at all, so we have to assume that they don't." And obviously that makes them go, "Oh, well, if there's no urgency, then let's spend 4 hours carefully doing this and getting through." And that's what Ortegas takes offense at. But then there's a scene between Una and Laan going, "What the fuck's up with Ortegas? Like, should she be back on duty?" And they're like, "Well, she passed all her psych evaluations. She seems absolutely fine, but she's obviously not," which is what we...
Psych evaluations don't normally work. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
should know. But then what we do though is later on in the episode and this is something that's like dangerous because it shows the arc that Ortegas is on at the moment with her trauma, is that they get to the end of the asteroid belt. They spent 4 hours carefully going through there at like a really, really slow speed, and then Ortegas basically does something on the console, and then immediately the Klingons go, "What?" And they notice something, and the scans, and then that's when the Klingons pick them up. The Klingons pick them up on the scanners. Everyone starts panicking, and then Ortegas goes, "Cool, we have to do my maneuver now," and she does the whole,
what she does, they have to
them into the atmosphere.
They have to travel through the field at 1/7 impulse, so the Klingons can't detect the heat coming from the engines. And then there's a patch of ice asteroids, and they have to slow down. And what you hear is
Una tells her to slow down. Ortegas doesn't.
Well, no, she does. You hear the engines decrease, like the sound of the computer decreasing the engines. But then, as the camera is focused on Ortegas' face, you hear the increase in the engines again. So it goes do 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 do, and then as the camera's there, all you hear is do 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 do, and then suddenly the Klingons detect, because Ortegas has quite cheekily increased the engine.
Twist at the end of the episode, but
she forced Una's hand, and then they have to, like Synoiz says, they have to do Ortegas' plan, because it is literally the only thing that they have got left. The Klingons are on their way. They've got the shields up. They're preparing weapons. And, it's Ortegas. It's up to you. It's down to you. So they have to pull off this risky as fuck maneuver where they have to warp the Enterprise into some layer of the atmosphere. I can't remember what it's called. But essentially, if you see season 3 of Battlestar, they drop straight into part of the atmosphere from warp. The Enterprise is burning up, but it's the only way that they can get close enough to beam up, zoom out, and then warp away.
Scotty has to do loads of crazy tricks, which basically allow the shields to allow them to, sustain in atmosphere, because these are ships that are never meant to be in atmosphere. Like Voyager is. Like Voyager was built to be able to land on planets.
Well,
it's but like the Enterprise wasn't.
It's not that it's not capable. It's the sheer speed that they are hitting the atmosphere, that it's playing absolute havoc with the ship, because obviously when in atmosphere you have to go on a certain thing, because otherwise you just burn up, where they're just literally balls first into the atmosphere. The ship is like, what the fuck? It's burning. It's essentially like flying into the sun at the sheer speed. And Scotty's like, I'm trying to beam, but the inertial dampeners are fucked. The actual gravity's gone. Can you just do something to help me beam these people up? And I really love Scotty in this season. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
I like it because basically what we have is we have Scotty once again working well under pressure, which is that the gravity has gone off. They're all starting to float around on the ship, and he's still at the control panel trying to teleport out Pike and Umbenga. But he manages it. He teleports them out. We see them just while they're about to get to the actual shuttle, like away from the zombies, and then they get teleported out onto the ship. And Una basically gives the word, "Get us out of here." And then just as the Klingon bird of prey is firing upon them in the atmosphere, they warp out and they escape the blast. And it's all very dramatic. But Una is not happy.
She's
like the whole
fuming.
we get 3 resolution scenes, and the first one of these is between Una and Ortegas, where it's very formal. It has, it's basically they are friends, but Una is very much like, no, this is a disciplinary. This is me going, I know exactly what you did. You put everyone's lives in danger to force us to use your plan. And what happened? The captain was going to get to a shuttle anyway. He didn't actually need our help. He would have gotten away in the end. So it was all for naught. You just put everyone in danger, like, because you wanted to be like
you forced our hand. You deliberately increased the speed of the ship so the Klingons could find us. You put everyone in jeopardy from the Klingons, from your maneuver. When in actuality, we didn't have to. And it's a great, because Una, like I said, Una is Ortegas' friend, and you can see that when Ortegas comes in and goes, "Oh, this sounds official," and you just know. Like, you just know. But Una has to pull rank. And instead, the consequences of Ortegas' actions is she's essentially stripped of duty for 2 weeks and she has to go to command training. And actions have consequences. And even Una says to her at the end, this cannot happen again. But will it? Will it happen again?
But this is the thing, and so you're saying that this isn't an important episode, but how I see it is we're starting to see these characters that we know will not continue through to the original series and will not be on the ship with for when Kirk takes charge. That this episode is doing a crucial job of basically setting up hey, this is how it's going to happen.
I don't think it's not an important. I'm not saying it's not an important episode, because it is. I just think out of the 3 that we have had, for me, it's possibly the weakest one, because it just could have been structured a little bit better. It could have been paced a little bit better. But there is important elements in this. Like I said, there is an element of world building between Pike and Umbenga. We get to see...
Are you okay? You got your cough out? Get your cough on.
Much like Monica Lewinsky, I swallowed. We 1998 reference for you all.
Remember when America had competent presidents and all they did was have affairs? And
you remember America?
What a crazy idea!
You remember America, guys? Watch South Park.
Yeah.
Watch South Park. But we get to see further development of the Ortegas arc and stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it was a weaker episode. It could have been structured a lot better. The pacing could have been a lot better. I don't know. I think it was just too tight. I think it was 57 minutes. This could have done with an extra 10-15 minutes. Don't die, Goodwill. Wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow.
Don't die, Goodwill.
Death by Beth. This has already been established.
It's going to be death by the dog. It's going to be death by Nova. That's the way it works.
Death by supernova.
But that is what we see. Like, just to round off talking about the episode, the other 2 scenes that we get are the resolution between Pike and Umbenga, where basically Umbenga is saying, "So, are you going to get me arrested? Are you going to put this in your report, and then I'll have to, suffer the consequences?" And then Pike basically says, "Hey, this mission didn't happen. Like this mission didn't happen. We're not going to tell anyone about it because it was massively illegal in the first place. So there's not going to be a report for it. So as far as I know, you told a story to save my life. And that's what he says. And Umbenga's like, yeah, but I did do it. And Pike's just like, you know, and I kind of like this. I like the fact that Pike is just going, I understand people have dark sides. I understand that, you know, people make bad decisions. And this is part of what makes him, like, probably my favorite captain, is the fact that he's just going, I know that rules need to be bent. It's not like Janeway, who bends the rules all the time, but then claims that she's, like, a perfect citizen. Pike is very much going, the rules are there to be, you know, they're guidelines.
They're interpretive, shall we say. Yeah,
and
they
that's
are meant
what
to
I
be
enjoy
bent.
about it. And then the final scene we have, which is between Patel and Pike, which is basically him going, why didn't you tell me? Like, you know, you kept it secret from me that you're going to die. Because, you know, basically he thought that she was just going to get another job and she had loads of time to live. And then basically she's found out, nope, it's pretty much days to live unless we try this crazy thing out. And it's him kind of, it's him suffering that kind of uselessness you have whenever you have a loved one with an illness, where you're just going, I can't help. I'd love to be able to do something and to be able to fix things or whatever, but all I can do is just stand here and watch and just.
This is, let's not forget,
through it.
Let's not forget, this is also a man who knows his inevitable fate.
Yeah, that's it. It's this kind of. He knows how terrible things are going to be, and he's starting to get all of the things he loves stripped away from him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to lose that. Because he then has to deal with the inevitable situation he's going to be in.
Yeah, it is. And it's an interesting one, because I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what's going to happen in the next couple of episodes.
I am really proud. I am deliberately avoiding all trailers, spoilers, images, everything like that. I accidentally got mad at David because he messaged me. He's like, have you watched the episode? It's this, this, and this. And I'm like, I'm at work.
I haven't watched it.
Shut up. What I'm doing, guys, normally what I would do for our reviews, so CBS, Paramount release the promotional material for this week's episode, like the week's episode, on a Monday. So it's all the screens, the synopsis, and everything like that. That means that people like ourselves can get the screens, get everything set up, and then get all the live streams set up for Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, whatever. I deliberately don't interact. I go dark until Thursday, until I have got home from work. I have watched it, and then as soon as I've watched it, I set everything up. So I know, you know, nothing's going to get spoiled or anything like that. Yeah. That's why you've not seen any YouTube shorts for last week's episode, because I am waiting until we've done this week's episode to upload the shorts from last week.
We don't want to spoil things.
We don't want to spoil things, and we want to allow that logical 1 week grace period for people to catch up, to watch it, and then we can do that. I think it's only fair, because I don't want, oh, well, you spoiled it for me from last month. I don't want that. I cannot be chewed with it. I don't want to argue with Trekkies. I have done it before. I got a migraine. No. So that's how I'm approaching it. And to be honest with you, I appreciate the episode more going in blind, not knowing what that episode is about. And it harkens back to watching Trek in the 90s and the early 2000s, not knowing what each week had in store, because you don't have access to the internet. You've got the TV times. That is it.
It was so wonderful watching last week and going, whoa, it's Trelane. That wasn't on my bingo card. I wasn't expecting that at all. Yeah. And it's purely because everyone else in the world knew, because they'd seen the bloody spoilers. They'd read articles about it and stuff like that. Yeah. And everyone had done YouTube videos predicting these things. And you're just going, I don't want these spoilers. So I prefer it to basically go, hey, if you're not going to watch it, then cool, watch along. Otherwise, we give you a day. That's kind of why we're doing these on Fridays rather than Thursdays, because we could do them on Thursdays, but our schedules hasn't really aligned.
No, we couldn't.
The last 2 weeks.
We couldn't do them on Thursdays. I'm good. I am good. But I'm not that good. I am not that. I got home at 6:30 yesterday. I got home at 6:30. That would mean I would have to watch an entire episode of Strange New Worlds, get the images, get the promotions, get the YouTube set up, get OBS set up in an hour and a half.
All I'm hearing is excuses, Goodwill. I'm not,
Shut
I'm
up,
just hearing
you
excuses. Could you just try a bit harder, maybe?
Could you not be a twat? I
love it though, like the idea of just being that kind of dickhead, where he's just like, maybe have you tried just doing it this way? And it's like, shut up right now. But yeah, we've all worked with bosses like that, where you're just going like, no,
I can't say at my new job, sorry guys, I have to leave on time. I've got a Star Trek based YouTube show I need to produce. Because they're gonna go P45.
That's it. Like, hot off the printer.
Hot off the printer. You leave the egg alone. I will never leave the egg alone because he is the unhatched goose.
Goose.
The unhatched goose. I think. Do you have any more notes for this episode?
I think there's a couple of things. Obviously, we've talked about Una's hair and stuff, but I liked the development between characters. There are a few criticisms. I would throw it this way, and I don't know if I'd throw the criticisms at this episode or last episode for sort of doing them. But we got all these new characters. We got these lovely new characters. We've got an alien bartender now. We have Ortegas's sister, Ortegas's brother, who is on the ship.
Hellia's not there.
The ensign doctor, yeah, and then we have sort of Chapel's boyfriend, the doctor, and then just none of them are in this episode.
Yeah.
Even Pelia's not in this episode, and it just feels a bit weird to be like, hey, look, there's new characters. Aren't you excited to see what happens with that? And then the next episode just has none of them. And
it's
the
like,
ensign
hey,
doctor is only there to get punched. It's like a bit like going, yeah.
It's sort of like, hey. You want to know if we shot this out of sequence?
But the frustrating thing for me is all they could have done is just removed Chapel from the. I don't know.
No, you couldn't.
No, she is there.
You couldn't remove Chapel from episode 2. She was a key component of the episode.
No. But I mean, if you removed Chapel from this episode. If you removed Chapel from this episode and then switched this episode with episode 2, because I think maybe then you could have done 1, 3, 2, and then in 4 you could have gone, hey, let's flesh out these new characters a little bit rather than just. I mean, I got annoyed that a Star Trek trope is no matter, even if the character has nothing to do in this episode, they're still there. And I disliked that Pelia wasn't in this episode because she's meant to be a member of the crew.
She's the chief engineer.
They could have just, because all we get of Pelia is basically Scotty turning up for a board meeting, a briefing, and then being like, oh, sorry, Pelia's busy with something, so she sent me. And Una's like, it's fine, I know that she hates these meetings. But it could have had a scene of the Scotty and Pelia in the engine room being like, oh, it's the meeting time. Oh, you go and do it, But I've never been in a meeting. Shut up. It's easy. Just nod and smile.
Would have been just a minor scene. Yeah.
Something like that. But literally, that whole thing, like we talk about in DS9 of getting the paycheck, that whole walk on and say one thing, Quark, and then you've got the paycheck for the episode. And it annoyed me that Pelia just wasn't in here,
You can tell contractual negotiations are different now at Paramount.
Yeah,
I think.
But no, I liked the episode. I loved the Klingons and stuff. But you're right, it wasn't a perfect episode. But I don't think it's as bad as you were making it out to be.
I again didn't say it was bad. I just think it was the weakest of the 3. And if it was allowed 15 more minutes, I think it could have been a strong episode. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just 15 more minutes. Look, we are in the age of streaming. what we have seen in the age of streaming is you don't have to be tied down to the 45-minute, 50-minute, 55-minute runtime. You can have it. If it needs an hour, give it an hour. If it needs an hour and 10, give it an hour and 10. What is 10 minutes between friends?
Yeah.
Let us
Isn't it
have.
crazy though? I never thought about that. Like about the fact of like
There's
you
no
saw
time
with Stranger
constraint.
Things and stuff. Yeah, like
Yeah.
we thought it was like this has to fit in a 45-minute slot because otherwise it'll mess up the schedule.
If there was an extra 10 minutes where they fleshed out the Patel Pike, or they fleshed out the planet's surface, why are they still here? Why can't we detect them? Why are they, why are they, could we do something to make them detect it? Why are they just on the roof? What, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just explain it, flesh it out a little bit more, and it would have, it just extra 10, 15 minutes. That's
Well,
all
other
it
things
would have needed.
Other things like the mind meld scene, that could be in a different episode. That
Yeah.
didn't need to be in this episode.
They could have
could
fleshed
be
that
in the
out a
next
little bit.
episode, where
Yeah.
they're trying to prep her for surgery. They can't give her the painkillers because she's allergic to them or whatnot, like in
Yep.
the first episode. And then they could have just gone like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let's try mind meld to cure pain, and then did that, and then did more
Yeah.
with it. But it felt very
Out of place.
Out of place in this episode,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, that is our review of Strange New Worlds episode 3, Shuttle to Kenobi. I've decided it's called now.
Shuttle to Kenobi. I like it. I like it. I like it. That like
Hello there.
Synoiz. Oh, speaking of hello there, here is the wonderful Christopher Reed from
Hey.
Top Grumps.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, how did Anime Club go? Was it a live one? I wasn't sure if it was live or pre-recorded. They on the Anime Club for Nerdy Up North, they were doing Howl's Moving Castle, which is one of my
Geez, the
absolute
layout
favourite
looks
films.
amazing. Does the layout look amazing? Oh, what is this?
Oh.
Animation, did you see?
Good
Animation. Look at it. Look at it. It gets even better. Watch this. Watch this. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Oh. Oh, the delta revolves.
Too much,
The-
too much.
Too much. I know.
So,
That's why.
what
That's
has
why I turned it
science
off.
done?
That's why I turn it off, because I don't want to overstimulate the viewers. They look at that and they go, "My God, he's moved the star," and I'm like, "Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Not only have I moved the star, I have also moved the delta." And everyone's like, "My God, he's a maverick genius. Look at it. Look at it. Both moving at the same time." Look,
It's
yeah,
too much
fancy,
for me. I'm not
fancy.
ready for this. I'm not ready for this strange new world.
What is this one here? I forgot about this one. What's that?
Oh,
That's just a separate animation. Look.
Oh, very decorative.
Ooh, thank you. Yeah, that is little sneak peek behind the curtains there. That has been our review of Shuttle to. Nearly said
Kenobi.
Kenobi. Nearly said Kenobi. He said it, you son of a bitch. Shuttle to Kenfori. If you liked this video, please consider clicking that like button. If you are not a subscriber to Trekkin and you like the cut of our jib, why not hit that delicious subscribe button there? It will really help us out. We were at 69 subscribers all week, and what I said to Science Officer Synoiz was, not only were we at 69 subscribers on YouTube, we were at 420 on Instagram. We were 69 420 in it last Friday, and I was like,
It's a good night.
yeah.
Nice.
Please subscribe. Tell your friends about Trekking Up North if they are Star Trek fans. We want to help this channel. Yeah, nice. We want to help this channel grow. We want to help all the social channels for it grow, because I need to do more Instagram live videos and I need 1,000 subscribers, because Instagram nonsense. So please share this. If you look down below, Prisoner 47, a Star Trek fan production, Indiegogo. Go there, look at more details, making of videos, synopsis. If you want to donate, help out Oliver. He is a great guy. So jealous he's at SDCC right now. The links to my socials, Trekking socials, Science Officer Synoiz's socials are all down in the bottom below, as well as his Twitch channel. Nice segue!
I know. I will be twitching. I will be twitching in about 15 minutes. Yes, it's simply because I am working on my new album that is coming out later on in the year. It will be staggered over the course of the year through EPs, but I'm working on a track for it at the moment that I've got quite stuck with. So I've decided to kill two birds with one stone, and if I'm working on it tonight, I might as well be doing it on stream. So I'll be working on this track while chatting to everyone there. So rather than playing a video game, I'm just going to be working on some music so you can listen to it, help me out, maybe even suggest stuff to do with it, and that should be quite fun. So that's going to be going at 10 p.m.
I would disable all of your alerts because you know we are going to spam that.
I think it definitely needs some Pink Lady. But yes, but also we need to give a shout out to all of our Nerdy Up North brothers and sisters and all of the wonderful shows that we have on the Big Daddy Nerdy Up North channel. Because sadly we had, it looks like this is going to be a consistent thing, frustratingly, whilst Nerdy World is on, because we can't do this on Thursdays. I'm busy every single Saturday that I'm alive. Yeah, and so we're not quite sure how we're going to do it. But yeah, the Anime Club was out tonight doing Howl's Moving Castle. We had Monsters Up North on Monday that I still haven't watched, sadly. And obviously Top Grumps and all of that voodoo. They finally got back to doing the main podcasts as well, which is basically big films and stuff. But I think they did Tarantino, so don't really care about that.
But this is the beauty of online streaming media. You can watch it live, or you can watch it back whenever you want. If you want to watch our Ugly Mugs live, you do that. If you want to watch Anime Club live, you do that. You are free. On the scale of 1 to America. Oh, actually, no, that's maybe not. But on a scale of 1 to 10 on how free you are at an 11 when it comes to the choice of Nerdy Up North content. All of the friends that support Trekking Up North are down in the links below. We've got Trek Culture, we've got the Transporter Room, we've got Captain's Quadrant, we have got the Search for Trek, those handsome three bastards that look strangely familiar to me. They're also down there in the description. Funny thing about the Search for Trek, I saw an article today that said a 46-year-old Star Trek film is currently top of the streaming charts and no one knows why. And I'm like... Search for Trek knows why, because we are reviewing it 1 minute at a time, making everyone watch this damn movie again and again and again and again and again. So, Star Trek the Motion Picture...
I've said it once, I'll say it again. My big gripe with Star Trek the Motion Picture is that it's far too slow. And so you and Mark decided, you know what? Let's make it slower.
We made it glacial, baby. We are currently up to the sea. We have in a time of recording, okay, we are currently at episode 1617. Episode 1617 is the space dock scene of the Enterprise, the tour. This is 5 weeks worth of content of just the shuttle pod going around the ship. 5 weeks. Okay? They don't like this. I do. So, Search for Trek is down there below. Obviously, the Transporter Room is down below. We've got Bedlam Games. We've got Nerdy Up North. We've got everyone down there below. So please click subscribe. If you like the theme tune, that was done by the beautiful, handsome 6'4" tree, Adam Ashbridge. His Spotify is down there below as well. But I think it's time to wrap this up and go to bed, don't you? Or we'll go to Twitch.
I think it is. Well, go to Twitch.
I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch you in bed. That's what I'm going to do.
Ooh,
yes.
Da-da.
I'm going to.
But yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we will see you next week for episode 4 of Strange New Worlds.
As ever, we will be either live or recorded at this time next week to watch episode 4. Well, as Synoiz has just said. But in the meantime, I want you to look after yourselves. Stay unbelievably sexy. Live long and prosper. And as ever, on Trekking Up North, Miles
Miles?
Miles?
Where are you, Miles? Where did you put my underwear? Where is my skirt? Who knows? Where is my child? Ah. Miles?